People in York have always whispered about the houses on Grafton Street, but none more than number 14, the house that didn't just creak or settle, but remembered. It remembered footsteps, voices, arguments, birthdays, tragedies, and most disturbingly, the people who lived inside it. The locals believed the house could cling to new tenants the way dust clings to curtains. When Amelia first arrived at the property, she didn't feel anything wrong. The letting agent rushed through the paperwork, almost too eagerly, as if he wanted her inside the house quickly, and himself out of sight even faster. He never met Amelia's eyes when he handed her the keys. He simply said, "Keep the windows closed at night. The house doesn't like drafts." She laughed, not realizing that wasn't a joke. The first week was quiet, too quiet. The house was always cold no matter how high the heating went. But the cold didn't feel like winter air. It felt deliberate, as if it followed her from room to room. She began noticing the house correcting things. If she left her shoes near the door, they would be neatly aligned later. If she folded clothes on her bed, they relocated into the wardrobe by themselves. If she closed the living room curtains, they opened again. It was as if the house believed she was doing things wrong and was fixing them for her. Whenever she sat still, the faintest hum vibrated through the floors, a hush-hush whispering. She couldn't understand the words, but she always recognized one thing. The whispering stopped whenever she spoke, as though the house was listening, pausing, waiting. By the third week, the whispering started saying her name. Not loudly, not clearly, but soft, almost affectionate. Amelia, Amelia. Then the house began showing memories that weren't hers. One night, she woke to the smell of lavender perfume. The exact scent described in the missing tenant's old diary she later found stuffed behind a bathroom tile. Another night, she heard a woman crying downstairs, a quiet, hopeless sobbing. When Amelia checked, the house was empty, but the crying didn't stop. It simply moved to a different room, as though the house was replaying old emotions. Then came the incident with the walls. Amelia heard scratching again and again. Long, slow, unbroken scratches. Not like mice or insects. It sounded like nails being dragged across painted wood. She stood in the hallway listening, and the scratches stopped right behind her. When she touched the wall, it pulsed under her palm, like something inside was breathing. The next morning, her name was carved faintly into the plaster. Not with a tool, the letters were long and uneven, as though someone had used fingers. That night, Amelia attempted to leave, but the house refused to let her. Her front door wouldn't open. Her phone battery drained instantly every time she tried calling for help. The windows jammed shut, and the lights flickered in a rhythm she couldn't ignore. A rhythm that matched a heartbeat. The neighbor who warned her earlier left a note under her door. "If you try to run, it follows you. Don't let it know you're afraid." But it was too late. At 2:14 a.m., the house woke up completely. The whispers grew louder. The walls expanded and contracted softly, like lungs. Something moved inside the staircase. Something heavy dragging itself upward. Amelia locked herself in the bedroom. The breathing grew louder. The door handle turned on its own. And then, a woman's voice, clear, right behind Amelia, whispered, "You belong to me now. I remember you." Neighbors reported hearing thuds and frantic footsteps, but no one entered until sunrise. They found the room empty. No broken windows, no forced doors, just Amelia's phone lying on the floor, still recording. The last audio captured her heartbeat slowing, and the house breathing in. Number 14 Grafton Street is still vacant. But whenever someone walks past it, they hear a soft tapping from inside, like fingernails on plaster, spelling out a new name the house has learned. Every Halloween, Camden Market fills with cheap costumes, fake blood, and plastic masks. But one stall appears without warning. No permit, no setup, no seller name. Just a crooked wooden table covered in disturbingly realistic masks. Rowan noticed the stall because the masks weren't displayed. They were posed, almost like faces resting in sleep. Some smiled faintly. Some frowned. Some looked terrified. The old man behind the stall didn't speak until Rowan picked up the pale, hollow-eyed mask. "That one remembers its last wearer," the old man said. Rowan laughed it off. He thought the man was trying to be creepy for Halloween. He bought the mask anyway. From the moment he wore it at the party, people stared at him differently. Not in amusement, in discomfort. They said Rowan's eyes looked wrong, sunken, as though he hadn't slept in weeks. His skin tone didn't match his body. And whenever he stood still, people claimed the mask's mouth twitched upward in a smile Rowan didn't make. After an hour, Rowan felt strange, heavy, disconnected, as if he wasn't entirely controlling his own facial expressions. When he tried to remove the mask, it stuck. Not like glue, more like flesh. His fingers slid under the edges and hit warm muscle. He pushed harder, and pain shot through his jaw. That's when he realized the mask wasn't attached to his face. His face was attaching to the mask. The memories came next. He saw flashes. A basement, a chair, a man tied up, crying for help. Rowan didn't know these images, but the feelings behind them were overwhelming: terror, betrayal, suffocation. Then nothing. Someone had died in this face. Someone whose fear soaked into the skin-like material. Someone who refused to be forgotten. Rowan's reflection changed. His eyes no longer blinked at the same time he did. His smile stretched too wide. His jaw shifted like it was trying to return to an old shape. By 3 a.m., Rowan heard someone else's heartbeat inside his skull. Not his. The heartbeat of the mask's original owner. He went back to Camden Market, desperate. But the stall was gone. All that remained was a single chair, placed exactly where the stall had been. On it sat another mask. Rowan's own face, emptied, pale, waiting for its next wearer. People reported seeing Rowan afterwards, wandering Camden's alleys. But he didn't look like Rowan anymore. His posture was stiff. His eyes were wrong. His skin sagged unnaturally. And each Halloween, the old man returns with new masks on his table. Masks that look too fresh, too human, too alive. One of them always looks like Rowan. Bramwell Road in Manchester looks cheerful in daylight. Colorful houses, tidy gardens, friendly neighbors. But Halloween changes the street completely. Every house places carved pumpkins along the pavement, forming a long line of glowing faces. Visitors think it's festive tradition. Residents know it's protection. Something walks Bramwell Road every Halloween night. Something old. Something ancient. And it counts every carved face to decide which house to pass and which to enter. Farah didn't believe the stories when she moved into number 29. She wasn't superstitious. She wasn't scared easily. But she didn't understand that the pumpkins weren't decorations. They were warnings. On her first Halloween there, she didn't carve a pumpkin. Around 10 p.m., Farah heard rustling outside. Not footsteps dragging, as if something long and heavy was pulling itself across the street. She heard the soft thump of each pumpkin as something tapped them, moving from one to the next. When the sound reached her house, it stopped. Then came the knock. Not on the door, on the ground outside. Slow, rhythmic taps like someone drumming long fingers on concrete. She peered outside and saw every pumpkin on the street flickering in sync, like a coded message. At 11:43 p.m., she received a text from her neighbor. Please carve a pumpkin. Now. She ignored it. At 12:01 a.m., her living room lights shut off. The heater died. The air grew cold, unnaturally cold. Then came the counting. Not a voice. Something scraping up the stairs, pausing after each step. 1. Pause. 2. Pause. 3. Long pause, as if waiting for Farah to breathe. When it reached step 8, she finally ran to the door. It didn't open. Every lock twisted itself shut. The counting continued. When it reached step 12, her landing, the air filled with the smell of rotting pumpkin. The kind of rotten that happens after something has been sitting in darkness for months. Her bedroom door moved inward. Not pushed, not kicked, pulled, as if something inside the room was dragging it open from her side. Farah hid under blankets, frozen, unable to scream. The counting stopped, but something whispered her name from behind the wardrobe. A voice wet and gurgled, like something carved from inside a pumpkin. By morning, Farah was gone. Her house was locked from the inside. Her shoes remained at the door. Her phone lay on her bed, still recording 7 hours of low breathing mixed with a slow dragging sound. What the neighbors found were pumpkins. Dozens of them scattered inside her house. Some carved, some not, some half-finished, and one perfectly carved pumpkin placed on her pillow, shaped like Farah's face. Down to every eyelash, every curve, every expression of silent fear. Now every Halloween, there's always one extra pumpkin on Bramwell Road. No one knows which house it came from, or who it used to be.